The stories of our community, etched in stone and towering in the landscape, tell us about our past. These remarkable citizens share their successes, their hardships, and quite simply their lives to the passerby. Each has a story to tell, a story that calls us to beckon a listening ear, to still a wandering eye. The trees, plants, and monumental ornamentation remind us of our unique heritage, the events, people, and struggles that have shaped who we are today. A measure of the educational story of a place like Cave Hill Cemetery is nearly impossible. The sheer volume of lives that are permanently recorded here and the ecological constant within the face of urban development will be forever protected through the efforts of the Cave Hill Heritage Foundation.
Hello, my name is Gwen Mooney. Cave Hill Cemetery is our community steward of history, of art, of the environment. A casual walk through a section can reveal the stories of hope and tragedy as you read each monument. The flora that surrounds you bores witness to these families even before the stone was etched. The cemetery is a reminder of our heritage, currently as an active cemetery, and historically as we are reminded of who we were and how we arrived here today.
A museum, a historical society, a research library, what we collect and preserve makes it available for people to come and continue to learn about their history, their heritage. If you don't have anything to look back on and to study and to learn from, you know, you've kind of erased your history, you've erased who you are. My name is Jim Holmberg. I'm the Curator of Collections here at the Filson Historical Society. Well, Cave Hill and the Filson are both really historical institutions in that you have the bodies there at Cave Hill, and we often have the papers, the portraits, the books, the photographs of the people that are there. I think really our core business mission for both of us is preservation in one form or another.
Cave Hill presents a wonderful educational opportunity for people, whether they're taking tours here, history tours, or learning about Civil War tours, or just here to enjoy the site as a recreational and a historic site. My name is Stuart Sanders, and I'm the history advocate for the Kentucky Historical Society. Cave Hill Cemetery and the Kentucky Historical Society have wonderful connections. As the Kentucky Historical Society works to interpret and educate the public about Kentucky history, there's no better place to come to learn about Louisville's past. Some of the great leaders are buried here, the great citizens, the great civil rights icons who are here. So that really helps the Kentucky Historical Society explain to visitors and explain to Kentuckians why history is important and why these leaders from the past are also important.
I'm Penny Peevler, and I'm the president of the Frazier History Museum. We've had a wonderful partnership with Cave Hill here at the Frazier History Museum, and in fact today I'm sitting in front of a casket wagon that was used during the Civil War to bring soldiers to their final resting place at Cave Hill after they were brought back to the city from the various battlefields of the Civil War. So when I stand in front of this display and we talk about its significance to our community, it really has a significant impact.
We routinely, I know, go to the Cave Hill website for research here at the Filson, and we point it out to other people to see, are they buried there? Well, what you're doing with the foundation of growing those individual names into real people, so to speak, who do have those stories, have the stories to tell, I think is just a wonderful resource.
Cave Hill's done a wonderful job of digitally collecting the histories of people who were buried here. And in addition, the mobile phone app that you all have is a great way that the Cave Hill Cemetery Foundation has really grasped onto modern technology and is using that to interpret the site to modern Kentuckians. Museums teach us about legacy, about leadership, and really inspire us for the future. And that's one thing that I think Cave Hill Cemetery does really well. By promoting the people who are buried here and by interpreting their lives, Cave Hill does a great job of teaching us what it means to be a Kentuckian and allowing us to learn how do the people who are buried here make decisions in their own lifetimes that can maybe influence how we solve problems today.
Cave Hill's been a really important partner for the Frazier, both from the programming standpoint and also as a primary source material for exhibitions that we put together. The Blodner Monument is the oldest surviving Civil War monument in the United States. And several years ago, it came here to the Frazier so that it would not be under the influence of the elements outside. This is a piece of history which can never be replaced. It's the oldest surviving example in the entire United States. And so it's such a privilege to have it here. And this is the kind of work that a museum in partnership with the cemetery can do to make sure that these monuments, which are important to our nation's history and many hundreds of years old, can be preserved for future generations.
I think Cave Hill Cemetery has a wonderful impact not only on Louisville, but across Kentucky. As people come here and they take the tours and they learn more about the people who are buried here, they can really understand what it means to be a Kentuckian and can understand how our past is important for today.
Cave Hill is a repository for our shared history, for families' individual history, and for personal histories. If a place like Cave Hill was not maintained, many, many people who have been important to this country and to this community might be forgotten.
I think the loss of a cemetery, really an institution like Cave Hill Cemetery, would be a terrible loss, not only to our community, but to history, because what you're doing at Cave Hill is preserving the past. You're preserving monuments to the people that made Louisville what it is.
If you look at things like gravestones and grave markers and that primary source information, that's where you can really begin to have a key to unlock the stories of who those people were and what their impact was on society. And so if there was no Cave Hill Cemetery, there wouldn't be a repository for that history.
I think not having a place like Cave Hill where you can go and not only enjoy the beautiful surroundings, the serenity of again, this oasis in the middle of the city, but to not be able to preserve and have this as a learning opportunity would be a real loss.
There are hundreds of thousands of stories that are just waiting to be told right there in Cave Hill. And so the educational impact of the past cannot be discounted.
The future preservation of Cave Hill Cemetery becomes increasingly important with each passing day. As an inscription fades, we are challenged with remembering and retelling the story behind it. As the landscape changes, we are challenged with preserving and guaranteeing its future sustainability. As our community changes, we are challenged with meeting a redefined need and maintaining tradition. We are preserving the past for the future.